Alright, today I aim to solve an issue that I've got with the truck. You look down this line. Golly, someday I'll get a better camera, but you can see how much of this tire actually is exposed up the side of the truck. But I'm also going to show you how I did this cut and reshaped that part of the inner fender. But I'm going to do it on the rear. The cutting portion anyway is going to be on the rear, making room for bigger tires, because you notice you've got, shoot, that's 1.5 to 2 inches of room there. A little bit less than back here. I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with this piece yet, because that angles in instead of going straight back. My idea would be to slice it right about here and then bend it back and get some sort of angle to do something with sheet metal or something, but I'm not so sure that's going to be in the way or not. It's close though. I mean, if I go up to 37s or 40s most certainly it'd probably be in the way. And that's where I'd need to slice this and bend it back. I'd still want that hard. Thinking about doing it anyway right now just because it bends in, which makes a tire, the mud flap, actually kind of curve when I do that. But so what I've got are just basic mud flaps like these. I had them on the truck before. The second I put the 35s in, that curve right there actually made them contact instead of slicing away. I was just looking at that too. There's a whole nother, that edge there. May end up cutting those then. I mean, on this side there's nothing back there, so there's nothing really in my way of cutting it. The other side you've got all the AC and HVAC lines for the rear, so that one's a little more complicated. This side wouldn't be. I just need to get this wiring that I put in out of the way. But yeah, so the first thing I do is figure out what the depth is here. So I'm going to pick a line somewhere up here and trace it out to what my full depth back there is, and that's how much of that I'm cutting off. Somewhere around there I'll make that line, and I'll make these look a lot more like the front does. Looking at where that comes to, that actually might flow pretty well with the end of the step into where that line's going to come. And I'll take the line and mark it out with just some simple blue tape, and then I cut it with one of the thin wheels. So cut it with a thin wheel on the angle grinder. I do the plastic first, and then I'll show you how I do the metal itself. And I've been cutting fenders on my trucks since my first truck, just to make bigger tires fit, because 4-inch lift to fit 35s, I definitely had to cut back there to make sure it clears all the turns. And then sometime when I'm ready to rework this bumper, I'll take care of that. But yeah, let me get to it. Oh, first things first, notice the colors of the truck. There's no gold on my truck, so I'm going to scuff these up and try that tire marker trick. Let's see if that will actually stick to this. We'll find out. If not, oh well, then I'm scuffing it with a scuff pad for a little bit and then putting them on. Get that done up so this can dry while I'm doing all the cutting. Alright, let's see if this all works. that's not too terribly bad. At least makes it red, which kind of goes with my truck better. But you notice that angle of the yellow's still there, and I can't get close enough with that tip into that yellow to make it totally disappear. Notice I kept a wet rag around for wiping up any smudges, just like anytime you're painting anything else. I think it'll be alright. Shoot a little smudge in there and in there, but probably already dry, probably can't get them off. But these install basically with just self-tappers. They're little black ones. I'll do that on the front pretty quickly, but in the back I got to rework all that before I can do it. That is the other thing to note. I got the smaller ones for the front and the larger ones for the rear. Because the front one are just kind of going to be splash guard to keep, you can see a little bit. I've washed the truck a couple times since all the snow and mud and everything. But that's just going to keep a lot of the splash off there. But those in the rear, I need the bigger ones to keep me a little bit more legal and keep the good people at UHP from pestering me. You live in the Rocky Mountains, your windshield's not going to survive. So, I mean, they say, oh, we get lots of complaints about people kicking rocks up because they have no mud flaps on. Well, you live in the Rockies. Deal with it. Little whiners that freaking would complain to the cops about that, but whatever. I'll put my mud flaps on so at least I know I've done my part. Alright, here we go. Alright, for this tire, pretty freaking close, but I've got room. It's funny, I should have made this cut after the mud flaps. I got more room there, but if I put another screw in right about there, I could force it to bend a little bit more and get out of the way. But for this tire, I think it's okay. You know, on full crank like that, I've still got a good finger's width before it even comes into contact, so it should be alright. During a good winter storm, on a good winter storm trip, it'll build up ice here, you know it will. But I think that will keep a lot of the splash off of the side. Let's go do the other side. cut, evened it up a little bit, and then traced with a Sharpie where the extent of the cut is going to be and where I'm going to make my slice cuts. One of the things I pay attention to is spot welds. Spot weld up there, so I won't cut that far. There's a spot weld there, there. So I'm cutting above and below spot weld, so I just fold all that over and bend it back in. And that way I kind of maintain the integrity of the whole panel as much as possible. It's amazing how much freaking warp there is on this thing. I don't know if that's from all the years of, I don't know, you can see the holes I had for the mud flaps I had, plus the holes that were in here for this, because it uses little 7mm self-tappers. But yeah, so that one's done. This one I'm going to do a lot shallower cut, because I have about 4.5 inches here, which means more than enough room for a 40-inch tall tire if I go that far on this truck. 37 certainly. But I'm still going to slice it just a little bit. Or, I don't know. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll leave it. Maybe I'll just slice the backs, because that's all they really need to slice. Oh, somebody's calling. I'll be the first to admit this would be a heck of a lot easier without the tire on. But if you look around my garage, there are two things that are blatantly missing. Painfully obviously missing are a jack and jack stands. I have to go get some. Years ago when life changed, those disappeared. I don't know where they went. Lots of things disappear during a divorce, but now you can see, instead of that jutting into here, it's now flat and even with the cut of the fender. That's not perfect right there, but again, I'll work on this some more a little later after picking up. Maybe next payday go get a simple set of jack stands and a jack from O'Reilly or AutoZone, Home Depot, wherever I can find a good set that'll lift this truck. And notice a lot of my coating's coming off through this process, but that is back where I want it. I think there's enough room between there and the spring that it's not going to interfere with that. And now that gives me a straight across surface to mount my mud flaps to. Again, that bulb, I don't like that. But this technique right here is exactly what Bushmaster says on their videos. Or Bushwhacker, the fender flares, the cutout fender flares for Bushwhacker. This is exactly how they did this, and they're one of the videos I watched on how to do this. Later in life, I might get Bushwhacker extended fenders. I don't know. With 40s, you figure I'll come out another couple inches. I always thought about getting rear spacers for this just to make this width, the track width of the rear axle, the same as the front, but who knows? Who knows what could happen in the future. For now, this will allow me to put the mud flaps on such that they won't get ripped off by the rear tire. And I'm going to leave that for now. I'm not sure if I want to cut that or not. I might leave that. I'm just going to do the rears here. Obviously, I'm not painting anything today. I suppose I could. Need to hit something up because there's some bare surface rust type stuff that's been working its way. It's a Fender. It's 20 years old. That kind of crap's going to happen. But basically what I do is seal the heck out of it with that paintable caulk. But I might just leave this until I do what I want to do this spring. I mean, if I was leaving it like that, that white would be painfully obvious and that would bother me, but it's about to get covered by a mud flap, so it won't be as obvious until I do the full coating, when it's probably a better time to do it anyway. I mean, it's warm as can be today. Nice and warm out here. But maybe spring is finally here, who knows. But I'm going to finish this up. So that's more level with the tire, more parallel with it anyway. But I need to take this tire off to put a couple more screws in. There needs to be one down there and one here. This only comes with 4 screws, so I've got it in with 3 screws right now, but I could really use one right about there and one there, and that'll make sure the thing stays on and keep it at an angle away from the tire. I'll have to do that on another day because I don't have jack stands or a jack, but that's how it goes. Yeah, so I got mud flaps at the back. They're not as far down as I might want them to be. Might change that later, I don't know. At least now I do have mud flaps that go, one of my police officer friends said halfway the distance to the tire. That's kind of what I was measuring. So I'm almost there. Those up front, nah, that's not halfway the distance tire, but the front ones aren't the ones they worry about. They worry about the back ones. Again, idiots on I-15 that are worried that they got a chunk in their windshield. Well, you ask Safelite or others, and they'll say 12 to 18 months per windshield before you get a good rack chip in it. So, all right, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to finish the other side up. I'm not going to film much of that, but you can see about what I'm after. I think when I installed them the last time I went lower, but I was just doing this to cover up where the white is at, so it's not as apparent. So when I go and recoat the whole truck, I may drop those down a little bit more. Which I haven't put any holes in lower, so yeah, I could still be done. I think before I had them down a good inch more. They were probably here, inch or two. Don't know, but you can see what you do. And again, I learned this whole technique from Bushwhackers YouTube videos. You know, when I was younger and I did trucks, I'd just slice the freaking metal off and not even care. With the S10, I did a pie cut, removed a pie, and then slammed the metal back in and welded it back together when I opened up its rear fenders. Front fenders on the S10 were fiberglass, or are fiberglass anyway, so that's just cut it off and shape it to where you want it. But yeah, I'm going to cut it off here. If you come this far, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.